And welcome back to the Sports Outlet. I have Matt Ajaj here. I'm Otto Gomez. After winter break, we're back to talk about the Super Bowl that happened last Sunday. As we all know, Broncos won 24-10. Von Miller, Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl 50 MVP. Another important storyline, Peyton Manning might be his last game ever, finishes with the most wins overall, one more than Brett Favre in dramatic fashion. Wins as a game manager, didn't really deserve the MVP. I'm glad he didn't get it.
Yeah.
Give me quick takeaways from the game. We can talk now.
Oh boy, I think going into this game, it seemed like everyone wanted the Panthers. Not just wanted, but they thought it was gonna be a blowout. There were lines in Vegas saying oh, Panthers were 6 points, something like that. Everyone was picking them, and you just knew with everyone siding one way, you knew something crazy was gonna happen. I think Carolina was just such a young team. All their stars, Josh Norman, Kuechly, Cam Newton. These are all a bunch of young guys. They've never been in even the playoffs before. They barely had any experience there. Denver has had all that experience. Peyton Manning, I know he didn't do much, but these guys have been there before. And I think that was the telltale sign of this game. And people really underrated the Denver defense.
Yeah. And what's crazy about the whole experience thing for the Panthers is that people thought about that when they got into the playoffs, but then they beat great teams like Seattle and Arizona.
Right.
Seattle, they started 31-0. It was the beginning of the game. Then they came back, but they still beat them resoundingly, and then they just obliterated Arizona. And so by that, everybody started saying, hey, maybe the experience isn't an issue. Cam Newton's playing well. The defense is stellar. Josh Norman played great all year. Kuechly had 2 pick sixes.
Right.
Guys, incredible modern day Ray Lewis, whatever you want to call him. So the experience going into the Super Bowl wasn't talked about as much because people thought it wasn't going to be an issue. As far as the Broncos defense goes, that's why they beat the Patriots.
Oh, yeah, obviously. The offense, I think that entire game, the offense only scored 3 points on its own. That was the very first drive of the game. After that, the Denver defense set them up in their own in Carolina territory every single time. So they got the rest of their 21 points.
Yeah, and they scored. Von Miller forced a fumble, which was covered in the end zone for a touchdown. Peyton Manning didn't throw a touchdown.
No.
I think it was either the first time in a while that the winning quarterback doesn't throw a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Especially that's unheard of now since we're in a passing league.
Right, and less than 200 yards by the offense in the game.
Yeah.
That was the first time ever in Super Bowl history.
Exactly. Looking at the numbers, you would think Carolina's defense is the best one.
Right.
But no, you have to give credit to Wade Phillips, who's out of football last year.
Yeah.
And now
how did that happen?
Yeah. Obviously, did a great job putting pressure on everybody this postseason. But it's the personnel.
I think it's a really talented defense. Von Miller, he could have been Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
that whole linebacker core, Danny Trevathan, Brandon Marshall, DeMarcus Ware.
DeMarcus Ware on the other side, who at one point in time was maybe top 2, top 3 defensive player.
He was Defensive Player of the Candidate of the Year multiple times.
Exactly, in Dallas. And Von Miller is incredible. He's going to get paid a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, or franchise tag, but either way, it's a lot of money.
And what's important to keep in mind is that 5 years ago, Cam Newton and Von Miller went first and second overall in the draft.
That was a hell of a draft.
And it worked out. And it's crazy. And, you get those picks by being a bad team. So in 5 years, these teams...
Right, 5-year turnaround. Look at that.
That's right. And even 2 years ago, the Broncos were in the Super Bowl. Keep in mind, they just got Peyton Manning the year before, but they made a very quick turnaround. Another thing to keep in mind is defenses win Super Bowls, and that's always true. I saw a stat that the league-leading defensive unit, like, for example, Denver this year, Seattle last year, or the year before that, is 9-2 in Super Bowls.
Really?
And that's including the loss that Seattle had last year, which was at the end...
Which they should have won.
Yeah. So let's just say they're 10-1. The best defense, when the best defense plays in the Super Bowl, they are 10-1. That's incredible. You talk about 85 Bears, talk about 2000 Ravens.
And offense is always the story. You see these wide receivers and quarterbacks setting new records every year, but really it's the defenses. They don't get the glory, but they get the Super Bowls. They don't get all the numbers and the money, but that's what these GMs need to focus on now.
Yeah, it's hard though. But you know what? I think the outside linebacker position is coming back.
Oh, it's key. Yeah.
From Von Miller to. I don't know. These guys are half defensive ends, half outside linebackers. Because they're lining up on the line, but just not in a 3-point stance.
Right.
So J.J. Watt's there. The new guys, Khalil Mack, and who's in Minnesota?
There's Barr there.
Yeah, and Anthony Barr. That's right, and Anthony Barr. These guys, Jadeveon Clowney. If he's healthy, these guys are great players.
Crazy athleticism. Yeah. They can move all around the field.
That's right. They run a 4.5 40.
Yes.
and they're 6'2", 260 pounds.
Something
they move
crazy,
so quick.
yeah.
And what's crazy, specifically about Von Miller, like as a quarterback, traditionally your most important lineman is your left tackle.
Right.
Protect the blind side. Quarterback can't see it. The right outside linebacker or the right defensive end is the stud, the guy. Von Miller's coming at you from the left side, from like the defensive side. So your right tackle has to be just as good, if not better. Mm-hmm. And that's just contradictory to like football tradition, you know?
Yeah.
Like I remember both times, Von Miller got 2.5 sacks, all of them from the left side, coming right at Cam Newton from the side he can see.
Right.
Which is crazy. And now you have to switch your entire offensive scheme, you know?
It seems like the most important position on offense now is offensive line. I mean, you look, Peyton Manning might have been statistically the worst quarterback in the league this year, but his offensive line, kept him in the game.
That's right.
I guess didn't get him killed, because if that guy took one hit, he's dust,
That's right.
And the defense was really the story.
Yeah.
Overall,
yeah.
That's what the GMs I think are going to start focusing on these next couple of years. And you've seen it; these defensive players getting paid a crazy amount of money. Ndamukong Suh, who knows how much he's making? Some $200 million something.
Yeah, it's a little lower. I think it was like 6 years, 120, something like that in Miami, and he's still being a dirty player over there. Anyway,
it's another story.
Yeah, offensive line I think will always be very important because pressure is key. And you saw the Patriots fire their offensive line coach. Now keep in mind, if you look at that game, I think Von Miller had a perfect jump each time. So they said that one of their linemen was tipping away the snap count.
Right.
Was like always doing the same thing before the ball was going to be snapped. So maybe that was one thing, but the offensive line coach got fired.
Yeah, that was the Patriots' downfall the whole year.
Exactly. And been always Tom Brady's weakness because he's not a very mobile guy.
Right.
And he needs time to deliver the ball. And it goes to show how good his offensive line has been in the past because he's been so dominant in his career.
This year he actually had the quickest time of release of any quarterback in the league and still going to the Denver game. The guy got sacked a bunch of times. Yeah. He was rattled. I think the same thing happened to Cam Newton. All that frustration just built in. It really took the energy out of him. Because, Cam Newton, Tom Brady, these are the most passionate, win-oriented guys in the league, yelling at their teammates, getting them in the game. And you saw at the end of the game, Cam Newton, he wasn't himself, and even on that one ball, that fumble on the last drive, he refused to pick it up. It was like the parting of the Red Seas. The ball was right there, and he just refused to go after it.
Yeah, and that's something we're going to talk about after we come back from break, the end of the game. Our takeaways, legacy-wise, post-game stuff. We know Cam Newton was involved post-game, too. So we'll talk about that when we come back from the break. Stay with us. And we're back to finish talking about the end of the game and start talking about the post-game interviews, whatever, all that stuff. You made a great point. A really big deal about Cam Newton's game was one time he got, not strip sacked, but he got hit in the arm as he was throwing. Ball comes loose. Not his fault. He got hit in the arm. He didn't dive for the ball. He didn't give up his body. He didn't throw himself to the ground. He just stared at it while his players and Denver's defense lunged and eventually came up with it.
Right.
That
was in the last 4 minutes of the game, and Denver had a 6-point lead, and then they get the ball back in their own territory. They end up getting 8 points. The game was over at that point.
I feel like a lot of people didn't really talk about that, and I feel it was really important because it just showed his disappointment and overall just how surprised he was at how things were going. I don't blame him. You go 17-1 and things finally start going bad for you. I'd be surprised too. Mm-hmm. It just throws you off guard because it's not your game. This pressure. Pressure makes quarterbacks go crazy.
Something happened to Brady the other week.
Yeah. So what do you think? What does that say about Cam Newton? The fact that he didn't throw himself on the ground.
It's hard to hold this against Newton because the whole year this guy sacrifices his body more than anybody. No guy gets hit more than no quarterback gets hit more than Cam Newton. He runs like a running back. But in that one moment, I think Cam was really thinking about next season more than he was thinking about winning the Super Bowl because it would be a difficult road in the rest of that game to actually come back and score that touchdown. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't a guarantee that they were going to drive down the field if he recovers that ball. But still, just not going after that. He was really concerned about his health. And I give him credit. He admitted to that at the end of the game, that he didn't want to get hurt on that play.
Yeah, I understand that. You never want to get hurt. You never want to put yourself in a position where you're getting hurt. But it's the Super Bowl. It's the last 4 minutes, as you said. You have to leave everything on the field.
Right.
You're obviously an athlete. You've played on teams before, so when it matters the most, you just have to. You don't want any regrets.
Right. As Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game, and the Super Bowl is the biggest game. Every year, the goal is to win the Super Bowl, and you're not making that all health risks go aside.
That's
in the Super Bowl. Look at Thomas Davis playing with a broken arm.
That's right. He had a huge cast.
Yeah, all the stitches still going down there. And it's hard to lose against Cam because I have nothing against Cam Newton. I love the guy. Just that one moment really threw me off. That's not Cam Newton.
Yeah, I really don't like it because it makes you question in that moment.
Yeah.
Somebody who doesn't go after the ball, it's like, okay, you didn't do something that you could have to help your team, and you're supposed to be the leader. You're the best player. You have to do it. NFL MVP. You have to do whatever it takes, right? That's all you can ask of a player, as a coach, as a friend, as a teammate. You do whatever you can do, whatever it takes.
And I think Cam he did the most that game. I think Cam did all that he possibly could until that very moment.
Yeah, and it's tough because a lot of people, and that's like the intangibles. People talk about intangibles about players, which is what sometimes pushes them over the limit legacy-wise. For example, Jordan, as Michael Jordan basketball, as incredible as his skills were, what puts him over the top, just over everybody, with the killer, like, sociopathic, like, instinct that he just wanted to beat you and would do whatever it took. Like, he was on, like, whatever it was, he would do. And and that's, like, you can talk about player skills, because you can always get better at that, but having that clutch gene, having that killer instinct, you can't teach yourself.
That.
Exactly, you can't teach it, you can't get it, you can't buy it. So it's not somebody's fault if they don't have it, you know? And sometimes, like, a player just doesn't care that much. And unfortunately for Cam, in that second, he just didn't want it, which is really unfortunate because he's really wanted it all year and he's played incredibly.
If he could go back, I think he would. I think he would die for it again.
Absolutely.
I just think subconsciously he thought, like, we're losing this game. I've been getting my butt kicked all game long. What's the point of dying for this ball when I could get my arm crunched or leg going the other way?
Yeah, and he's been disappointed all game. You know, absolutely just rattled, whatever you want to say, just all game, like, Von Miller coming at me. I mean, I would want to quit, you know?
Yeah,
I want to get out of
the teams combined for the sack record in the Super Bowl. I think Denver had 7 themselves. So
incredible. After a year of not having that much pressure on him, incredible.
Yeah, but people are criticizing more now Cam Newton, not so much that fumble, but his media performance at the beginning, or lack of
what I want to talk about. He self-admitted being a sore loser, which is, honestly, in my book, like, I don't have a problem with it. You're very disappointed. He wasn't a jerk to anybody. He didn't do anything inappropriate. He didn't do anything bad. He was just upset, very upset with everybody.
Can't blame him.
No, after being the MVP, after having the best team in his situation, you know,
right?
After being the favorite to win, more importantly, being the favorite to win, and just getting, and it wasn't even like close, you know, like it was 24-10.
Yeah. 2-score game. He
walked off the media question, like the press.
Right.
He walked out of the questions after he got a question. And he had, like, his hood on. He just walked off. He didn't want to answer anything more.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, you know how you feel after losing a big game like that. Like, you know, you didn't play your best game. Your team just got beat in the biggest game of the year. You set up the whole season for this. And it's just utter disappointment. And then you got to come into the locker room after the game saying, "Oh, why do you think that happened after the game?"
Or, like, how do you feel? It's like, how I feel.
Well, yeah, like, come on. These are just, like, the sports media has been asking these really dumb, silly questions for years now. I don't know how you feel about that. You know, it's necessary.
What else are you going to ask?
Yeah.
You know, what do you, like, do you want to talk strategy? Like, that's too complicated. Like, what do you want to talk about?
Right.
It's just, I mean, I figure that I really think that they ask both teams the same type of questions. What did you do that made you successful, or what could you have done better to make you successful? So it's the same type of questions, but when you have a different attitude about the game, obviously you're not going to want to answer questions.
Right. Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's hard to tell because these players just don't want to answer. It's annoying. It really is.
Yeah. But on the other side of that, Peyton Manning also gave an interesting media performance after the game, just on the field, saying he's going to drink a bunch of, he's going to kiss his wife and children, and he's going to go home and drink a bunch of Budweiser beer. Did that throw you off at all? The whole the plug right there.
The first time he said that, or Budweiser said that they didn't pay him to say it, but Peyton has some ownership, some stake, some stock. Somewhere. He owns something, I don't know, but he's invested somewhere or another. But it did throw me off, but then he said it again. You notice
and the second time he didn't say Budweiser, he just said he's going to drink a bunch of beer after the game.
He said, but like the exact same thing. I'm going to kiss my family, my kids. I'm going to drink a lot of beer.
It seemed rehearsed.
Twice.
It rehearsed to a point.
Yeah, it really did. It's like Marco Rubio, the GOP debate. It's very rehearsed. But see, like, that's the other corner. Like, you're happy, and he'll answer whatever questions it takes. You know?
Right, because you're the winner. You know, you feel great. You'll take the dumbest questions possible at that point.
Now, quick question: does this make Peyton Manning best quarterback of all time?
No.
No.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know.
He didn't even participate in the Super Bowl. You could have put anyone back there. You could have put me back there. I think we would have had a good chance at winning that game.
Yeah,
not a better chance, a good chance at winning that game.
All right, well.
Okay, Peyton Manning. is known as the playoff choke
hand
artist.
it off third time.
Yeah.
All right, that's not even true.
No, he's more of a playoff choke artist than, say, the Tom Brady's and Joe Montanas of the world. You know, he's not that category. Montana and Brady both
Never
have
had
four.
the same type of team, man.
Same type of team. He's had better offenses. He's had Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne working with his whole career.
Yeah, Jerry Rice scrub, you know.
Okay, but
okay. I'll tell you this. I just think Peyton was himself a better player than the other two, just
regular
overall.
season.
But yeah. And the other thing, okay, so that's pretty much all we got for football, right? I don't want to. Yeah. We're talking about something else now.
Yeah.
The other thing I really want to talk to you about really quickly is NBA All-Star Weekend, the international against the American Rising Stars, which is going to be a very interesting game. We have a 3-point contest, skills challenge with big man Anthony Davis, Cousins. We have, I don't know, did I say 3 points? So 3-point and dunk contest, and then the All-Star game, the coup de grace on Sunday. Anything quick? What are you looking for? What do you?
All I want every year is a good dunk contest, and we got that last year. No, we did, because Zach LaVine was very good, and he's back this year. Yeah. But I don't know why we're getting all these scrubs in the dunk contest. Andre Drummond is not a scrub. Okay.
Zach LaVine's not a scrub. He scored like 45.
No, he's a good dunker, but he's not a great player. You know, why can't the Russell Westbrooks and LeBron James play in the dunk contest? Has any guy ever gotten hurt in the dunk contest?
Well, I don't know.
No. So why aren't they doing it? Steph Curry, he's shooting in the 3-point contest. Klay Thompson, best guys in the league. Yeah, why can't we be entertained in the dunk contest?
No,
that's all
right.
I'm asking.
No, that's a good point. I'm really looking forward to all of it, especially the Rising Stars, because we have a lot of good players. Porzingis and Towns, you meet both squads. So I'm really excited. But that's all the time we got. We'll watch it this weekend, Valentine's Day weekend. Yeah, so that's a good show. If you're interested in joining LTV, please email us at ltv@tcnj.edu or like us on Facebook. For Alliance Television, Matt Ajaj, Otto Gomez. Have a good one, folks.